your conditions of work are atrocious in many instances because there's not much investment in the sector. And so you see it happening in Parliament. It happens everywhere in the public sector.
Yes.
The kind of, when you're talking about technology, you're barely limping along because you don't have what you need to do the most basic things in the public sector. And this is one of the reasons why we had to say to the government, even on the back of a pandemic that did the kind of damage that it did to the economy, you needed to ensure that, the reforms in terms of compensation in the public sector and allied to that, reforms in performance management as well, that we have to put that on the front burner, because if we don't put that on the front burner, the kind of recovery that you won't be able to see. So you have to be trading one off against the other. And the truth is, the public sector has suffered for so very long. And if you want to have the public sector driving the economy, then you need to make sure that the public sector is properly resourced and that the workers are properly paid. And all of that is in the mantra that the transformation unit basically speaks about every time.
Yes.
But we want to see it actually realized.
I also want to see the government is revenue, tax revenue. That has expanded exponentially. Right, so they have had revenue coming in because of the consumption. And I hear a colleague of mine in the Senate, Alvin Hill, saying, it's business that pay taxes. Well, I tell you, I have a Pepsi in front of me now. When that Pepsi is sold from Pepsi company, they charge you, Desmond, who is the wholesaler, GCT.
Yes.
And they collect it back, so their GCT is collected back from you. When I come to buy it as a consumer when drink the Pepsi now, I pay you back your GCT.
Yes.
But I have nobody
to pay you
to charge my GCT on.
No.
So the consumers, not business, are the ones paying all the taxes. So every week that the gas price go, I am paying more taxes. And that's why they're able to do a little better this year. But the era where the government is falling down and where the unions are pushed is the era of growth. And I said in the Senate on Friday, based on the government's own document, fiscal policy paper, the growth rate for 23-24, that is this year, is 1.6%.
Yes.
Next year, 1.1%. The year after, 1%.
Yes.
26, 27, 1%. One time Audrey Shaw called that anemic growth. So I saw people demonstrating 5 in 4. But the 5 in 4 seems to be dead. And the key to getting into a position to pay much, much more is to grow the economy.
Yes, of
so
course.
that you can, when they want to pay 9 or 10% of GDP, a bigger GDP, mean your ability to pay more. The government has failed in this growth era, and it's not COVID that is the problem.
No, sir, because
sorry?
No, you are perfectly right. Because, for example, the 5% growth that we are talking about now, that is a recovery position. In other words, what we are witnessing, the growth that we are witnessing now, it is a result of the shutdown under COVID.
Desmond, put this way. If you drop on the ground, which is what COVID did to us, and you get up on your knee, that's a big growth.
Yes.
And if you stand up and bend down, a big growth. And if you stand up further, we're just coming back to where we was before COVID.
Yes.
So we don't even jump up yet.
No.
And so people need to understand that these big figures, and that is why when I quoted from the government book on Friday, I said that Minister Clark has said these are accurate numbers. He had to sign that these are accurate numbers.
Yeah.
So I can tell you we're in a bad shape.
Well, of course, we're in a bad shape because the economic growth this year will not be 5%.
No, 1.6.
Yeah, it will not be 5%, and that is 1.6. Those are the areas where we have been for decades.
Correct.
As
and we don't count the drought yet, because drought is going to slow down agriculture, which is one of the big areas of growth last year.
Yes. And as we speak, I see where the UC Russell workers have taken industrial action. Although this morning I heard a report saying that the Ministry of Labour had issued a back to work order, but they have now taken industrial action.
Well, I understand it, sorry, Andy. I understand that the tribunal had a meeting over the weekend, but the union was not present. Yeah. And I had assumed that the tribunal, out of fairness, would ensure, even though they have the power to make ex parte ruling, to ensure that the union was present. And I think that might have irritated the workers into taking action. I hope that the matter can be resolved soon, because, again, backside contribute and alumni contribute to growth.
Of course. And that is why I brought it up, because what we are seeing now, and that is why this discussion, because the unrest that we are, the signs of the unrest at the workplace in the 3rd, 4th month of the year is not a good sign. It's not a good sign at all, because we need all hands on board to get some growth in the economy so that we can all get a bigger slice of the cake. But
I will tell you though, there's one. Certainly the unions within the Confederation of Trade Unions, we have come through some periods where, when I talk to my trade union colleagues in the rest of the Caribbean and even Europe and elsewhere through our global union federations, they wonder how it is that we had been able to have gone through so many periods of 0% increase and very low increases as against inflation and so on. Yeah. And a lot of that has been because we have adopted this social dialogue approach. And part of the problem that we are experiencing now is that, sometimes the government comes across as being quite autocratic, because even while we were having the discussions with regard to the compensation review, you would have heard statements being made. And while we are in discussions, the various functionaries in the Ministry of Finance will be out, having discussions on the very things that we were discussing. And it created a lot of angst amongst the workforce, because then we as unions would be saying one thing to them and they're being told another thing in various fora within the various ministries, agencies and departments.
Yes.
I do not believe that it is beyond us to be able to come through this period, but a lot depends on the how. And if it is that, we are able to have these meetings and have quick response, I believe we will be able to come through without any major dislocation. But you can't have a situation as has happened now, where it is now over 1 month since we had discussions with the team from the Ministry of Finance, and we have not had any follow-up, whether by way of another meeting or by some response coming to us to say exactly what are the conditions that the government, that they are considering. So what I would be saying to our partners in the government is that they need to make sure that responses are prompt and that they are they come to the table willing to have frank discussions and to come to compromise positions, because that is essentially what trade unions do. We do not always go to the table with hard and fast positions, except on points of principle. We always go to meetings with an open mind, prepared to come to a settlement, but we have to have reciprocation from the other side, and that is what we are saying to our government partners. That is what we think needs to be done now, because if they allow the discontent to build, we are going to be facing serious problems.
You see, a good friend of ours, who was a former Minister of Labour and Prime Minister, coined the phrase, consult, not confront.
Yes.
And Mr. Simpson Miller did a lot of that, consulting. And so if the government had consulted with us, they would not have issued that circular about no increment for the next 3 years. And they would not have talked about no motor vehicle concession. So we'd hope that good sense will prevail, consultation will take place, and the increment issues can be resolved in short order.
Yeah.
Because people are due increment now.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, when you take into account that in the public sector, increments are basically performance-based.
Correct.
So it's difficult to tell a person that they have done everything that they should do to be able to meet the criteria to get the increment, and then you are telling them that they will not be paid the increment. That is just not going to be accepted.
Right. And you know something, the other thing that is part of our system, the Jamaican economy is a low pay. In other words, we have a low pay model, you know. If you look at salaries in Jamaica, at the top, very top, these salaries are paid. But when you start coming down, you'll find that across the board, the salaries, and especially in the public sector, the salaries paid is a low pay model. For example, look at the $13,000 for the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at $13,000, when you go into a shop with $13,000 right now, just to buy basic food, and when you see what you get for that $13,000, and you realize that it is very difficult for. How do
they carry that 13,000 to the shop? What about bus fare?
Well, listen,
what about light bill? What about water? What about school fees? So then I can 13,000 make it even worse.
Well, sir, I deliberately avoid naming those, because if you include all of those, is that you might have about $2,000 or $4,000 leave.
That's the point. That's the point you have to make.
Right.
That's the point you have to make. And I tell you something about the minimum wage. I'm not opposed to the minimum wage. I'm happy for it. Yeah. But when you take a teacher, a nurse, or some of the workers in the middle, I am not sure they're getting 20,000 more per month, you know.
Yes.
But so if they're going to pay that extra 4,000 per week, it almost wipes out some of the increases.
Yes, of course it is, right? And so as I'm saying, wages in Jamaica are low. It's right, especially, and it's for a large number of persons, because people who are earning minimum wage is that affects several thousand people.
Correct.
Right. So it is not easy, and that is why, as Mrs. White said, I only hope that the authorities would spare the time and, pay attention to what is happening, because the disquiet is growing. The cost of living is very high, and all the other factors, they are just piling up burdens on the working class. And then sincerely hope that the unions can do what they have to do, and the authorities can come to the table and work out this. Gentlemen, Mrs. White.
Well, before you leave, I just want to make this point.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister went to Montego Bay and said the cost of Cornwall Regional, which is a necessary hospital, is going to go up because inflation globally.
Yes.
But he doesn't recognize that the cost goes up on the worker because of inflation globally.
Globally.
And therefore, when you give me a 20% over 3 years, you don't factor in the inflation costs to me.
No.
And so I am saying the government only thinking about some people, but not everybody.
No.
And the workers need to be thought about much more.
Of course. We have to do that because remember, they are at the bottom, as far as wages are concerned. As far as wages and services are concerned in Jamaica, the workers are at the bottom. And I will say one thing, there is one element which probably wasn't part of the negotiation with the public sector workers. But there needs to be an improvement in service, how services are delivered in the public sector.
No, that has always been a part of our approach. The media don't always carry it, but if you look at the documents we signed, Helen will confirm productivity improvement, growth has been part of our mantra. But you can't just, if you don't put the equipment and the tools in place, you can't get it. If you don't get the policeman a car, then him can't go chase the robber.
No.
And him can't go and deal with the domestic issue.
No.
And to support that, if you look at the private sector, where there have been great productivity improvements is because of investment in technology and in facilities, etc. Training and education, those are the things that give you the productivity improvements. So it can't be just about a worker going out there and being more productive. A lot goes into making that worker more productive, and a lot of it is technology, training, research, education. Those are the costs that we have to look at, and that is something that a government or an employer has to bring to the table if, in fact, they are going to bring about the kind of productivity improvements that will drive our economy.
Which is why we in the unions have pushed for scholarship and tertiary education for the people so they can be better educated and to be more productive. The unions have stood for that for many, many years.
Yeah.
How many doctors come out of the sugar industry? You know what? Because the unions insist that there should be scholarship for workers' children.
Yes.
We still stand for those things today.
Yeah. I want to thank you very much, Mr. Lambert Brown of the UAW and Mrs. Ellen Davis White, President of the JCTU. Thank you very much for your participation this evening.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. That was workers' time. And boy, lots of things happening at the workplace right now. This is where a lot of attention will have to be paid at the workplace to remedy some of these problems. Let us take a break.
Pass down, protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart and 6 feet in the ground. Stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive.
Lord, I'm ready. Lord, I'm ready. I'm ready. Lord, that's where I got to be. To stay within your grace for the rest of my day. Lord, I'm ready for your calling. I know you will let me when I'm falling. With all the obstacles that's in my way, you move them all away. Lord, I'm ready for your calling. I know you will let me when I'm falling. With all the obstacles that's in my way, oh gosh, you move them all away. Lord, I turn to you when I'm in need. Your love is just like the air I breathe. Heavenly Father, you're truly a friend indeed. There is so much that I got to say. I could go on about you every day. Your name I will always praise for the rest of my days. Rest of my days. Rest of my days. Heavenly Father, yeah. Lord, I'm ready for you calling. I know you will let me when I'm falling. With all the obstacles that's in my way, you move them all away. Lord, I'm ready for you calling. I know you will let me when I'm falling. With all the obstacles that's in my way, you move them all away. Your grace is all that carries me. Through the dark, you shine your light so I could see. Even when I was down on my knees, you set me free there. Lord, you bring my shield from my enemies. In your loving home, that's where I got to be.
Yes, welcome back. You know, at this time we want to talk to retired principal of the Brownstown Community College, Mr. James Walsh. Mr. Walsh? Look like I've yes, I'm trying to get back Mr. Walsh with us. Yes. So as we were saying that so many issues.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Mr. Walsh? I don't know why I am losing him.
Spend time, I didn't know right from wrong, but in every situation, God gave me consolation. That my trials come to make me strong. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon His words. I've been to lots of places, seen so many faces. There were times I felt so all alone, but in my lonely hours, those special hours, Jesus let me know that I am His own. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. Through it all.
Okay, Mr. James Walsh, are you there now?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, so yes, welcome to Rebel Radio, sir. And
Yes, sir, thanks for inviting me.
listeners and viewers, we are talking to the retired principals, one of the retired principals of the Brownstown Community College, and this is a well-known educator who has spent number of years imparting knowledge to the young people. Mr. Walsh, you know, what I would like to where we would like to start is when you look at the education system now. What are your views on what is happening in the classrooms, in the schools?
Well, it is, to my mind, I mean, I've been out of it for a few years, but I can't say that I am totally out of touch because I'm the chairman of 2 school boards. I've participated in another one, and I interact with colleagues and former colleagues, right, as well as, of course, monitor stuff in the media. We have tried, I mean, and when I say we, collectively as a country, we have tried, we have put significant investment, if you are looking at just the terms of the proportion of GDP that the country spends on education, you know, over the last several years. It compares favorably to some extent with similar countries and even some more advanced countries. But having said that, the truth is we can't be happy because the output is still substandard to a large extent.
Yes.
Right? I mean, and that, of course, is intimately related to the many social problems that we have, to the absence of certain levels of skills in the numbers that would attract investment, etc. So it's not that there isn't effort, but I think it is recognized, and that's why we had the Ray Davies report in modern times, because they had several reports before, and then the Patterson report, did both investigations to try to come to grips with what is the problem with education.
Yes. Yes.
Now, there are clearly problems in the schools, the inadequate resources, sometimes also to do with inappropriate or cultures, you know, organizational culture, all of that. But a fundamental problem from a national point of view is what some people have termed apartheid, or apartheid in the educational system, where, as you would maybe know, we have over 140, something like 150 secondary level schools. And of those, right, roughly 40%, and most of which are schools that came out, traditional high schools, the traditional high schools, mainly linked with one church or the other church or some trust. They are the ones that do the best. Mm-hmm. You know, they are, on average, they graduate, 50% to 75%, even to nearly 100% of students who sit the CSEC exam, with enough subjects to matriculate to go on to higher education, to further education right away, right? But that's a minority of the student population.
Yes.
Right? The other roughly 100 schools produce anything from somewhere below 50 to, in some cases, the data I saw earlier, which I hope has changed, to 0 in terms of people qualifying to go. You know, as the minister then, I think it was the present prime minister, who had termed some of these failing schools.
Yes.
Right? So that is one problem, that there are some good schools producing good results, but the bulk of our student population is not to be found in those quote-unquote good schools.
Yes.
But then,
and that's a big problem. Because we're talking about hundreds of thousands of students.
Yes, right? That's a big problem. And those people, you know, I mean, apart from not having, achieving certain levels of certification, right? There are also cultural things. They, you know, tend to have low self-esteem, till we're not enculturated into the kind of productive and progressive culture that enables one to advance in societies like ours. So, but then remember, formal education doesn't start at the secondary level. It starts at the basic level.
Yes, sir.
Right? And therefore, until we can fix that, right, to remove the apartheid at that level too, we're not going to them, because you're feeding bad products into this system, and it's just not equipped in many cases to change, to transform. As when I was at the community college, my mantra is that we are there to transform straw into gold.
Yes.
Right, and that of course is a good ambition, is a good desire, but on a large level, it is not so practicable.
Yes.
Right, we can't do that at the community college, because the truth is, at that level, although we have relatively open access, the straw you were getting was very good quality straw compared to the straw elsewhere.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
So it's not so hard to change that.
Yeah. So basically, sir, what you are saying is that at the basic level, the start, we need to put a lot of resources there, so that we produce. Because at that level, those are when the students absorb everything.
Precisely, most receptive. That's where you lay the foundation,
right,
and the structure which you're going to build later.
Right. So what we have to put a lot of attention there. I one of the things that I can't forget this, because I was in total agreement with it. The late Mr. Siaga, he used to talk about the basic school education.
Yes.
And, he was of the view that that is where you need to build a sound foundation. As a matter of fact, at the basic level is where you must have, you should have trained teachers. Teachers. Not what obtains now, right? Where we take basic education for, let me lose my term, like it's a joke. Yes.
Yeah, it's a amateur thing. Yes. I mean, granted, that doesn't detract from the level of commitment and, good faith of many people who are there, but commitment can't fully compensate for skills.
No. I must, as a matter of fact, I must commend the basic schools teachers for their commitment and, their dedication. Because it is a very hard job that they are doing, right?
Yeah.
But we need, in order for us to lift and transform the educational system, I think we need to focus there. And what we have now,
everybody agrees with that. Every government since my time I know of says that.
But they won't do it, sir.
They put some resources, but you see, the quandary face, because people are saying, all right, don't focus on tertiary, focus on basic. The truth is, the quandary face is that you can't pick, this is not a situation where you can hold one level constant and focus on the other one.
Yeah.
Because the teachers you're going to get, the people to continue the economy going along, and so on, you have to get something out of the secondary and the tertiary level.
Yeah.
Now, we as a nation, and this is maybe along the lines of your orientation as Rebel Radio, we as a nation have to make up our mind that we are going to fix it not by holding one set constant, not by causing the people at the tertiary level to have to pay more, which means that's only the more advanced and richer people can get it, or anything like that. We have to commit the resources, and it is not impossible. The Cubans have done it. Other countries have done it.
Of course we can do it.
They have done it. I mean, at a free level and all of that, under great constraints that we don't suffer.
Yeah, we can do it. But we have to be serious I don't.
Yeah.
I am not convinced of what I have seen. Yes, the governments have put some resources into, but we need to take on this area very serious, because if one of the things that we must understand, when we take on the education of the children, when we take it serious, we are looking at, this is the answer, this is the solution to a number of our social problems, you know. Yes, because if we are talking about hundreds of thousands of students who are leaving school and leaving, some of them almost illiterate, right?
Yes.
So what we are doing is providing raw material for antisocial activities. So when we take on that as a serious subject, what we are doing is addressing some of the problems that we are facing now, right? And the situation right now is totally unacceptable. We can't, and I don't know. The people, the government. I'm sure that the government is aware of what we are talking about. And
this government, the previous government, the previous to that, they are aware. But you see, it has to do with a level of commitment. Right now, they operate within a paradigm that says, this is what education can get. Now, to improve the bottom, we have to make sacrifices at the top or in the middle, right? Yeah. So that's where we have to. And I'm saying that the dynamics of society in a modern society does not give for that. We have to make up our mind and mobilize nationally to say, this is what it is going to cost to fix everything at the same time. Some need more fixing than some.
Yes.
Right? This is what we have. Now, what are the things we are going to give up in the short run so that we can get these things, so that in the long run it will be better? Because part of the reason you realize that in Jamaica now, a high percentage of the graduates of the high schools and more so the universities and colleges goes abroad.
Yes.
A very high percentage.
Yes.
So we are putting a lot of investment, but that investment only yields some returns in terms of initially, apart from what is in Jamaica, when they go abroad, we get some remittances, right?
Yeah,
that is true.
Mm-hmm.
But the remittances are limited, and it's huge. It's important to the economy.
Yes.
For how sustainable it is. And what we don't quite often realize is that a very high proportion of the remittances come from people who are over there doing what we would call menial jobs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And the brain drain to the country is huge.
It's huge.
And very impactful, because we are losing the best trained persons. Mm-hmm. We are losing those skills. We need those skills to help develop the country. But and
the remittances can't compensate for that.
No, can't compensate for that at all. The other thing that is very troublesome now, Mr. Walsh, is when I was going to school, what I see happening in schools now, I wonder, we never thought of that. I'm talking about the level of discipline in the school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't recall during my school time, I don't recall any student wanted to fight a teacher. I just can't recall that.
Extremely rare. That was an extremely rare event.
Yes, and there were fights in school, students fight. But boy, the stabbing. I mean, students stabbing, killing another student on school compound.
But in those days, that they wouldn't have had gangs in the schools.
No. Nowadays, we have those kind of antisocial behaviors in the school, gangs. No, those are things that believe me, I don't have a solution for it, because you can imagine you have to have police in the schools. No, these are, and it goes back to what is happening in the communities, because if we were turning out producing better trained students, I am sure it would impact. We would have better results in the communities.
Of course.
Right. So yes. And let me ask you. So you are still in touch with teachers, and when you compare teachers during your time in the classroom and teachers now, what are the results? What kind of results are you seeing, sir?
Well, in a sense, though, the teachers in my time, my time covers two phases. When I was in school myself, and then when I was teaching our administrator. I am not going to say the teachers then were better than the teachers now, in that teachers then, in many ways, some of them won't accept it, but they had an easier task than the present ones. Because one of the things that has happened this year is that up to, say, the 1970s going up, the number of people getting a secondary education and coming into the school and things was minuscule, was a minority.
Yes.
And therefore what we find is that the people in the serious education were mainly middle class or solid working class students.
Yes.
What we have done now is that we have expanded the system, and we are taking in a lot of students from what we could call dysfunctional communities in many cases, dysfunctional families, dysfunctional communities, communities, that are lacking in infrastructure, both social and physical. Many of them are squatter communities, or what they call ghetto communities, where quite often the level of social order and so on and antisocial behavior in the modern time is much higher than it was before.
Yes.
So as you yourself were saying, in our days as students and even as teachers, you wouldn't have a lot of, certainly students wouldn't really be attacking teachers on a regular basis.
Yes.
Right? They wouldn't have that. And then the other thing that has changed substantially is that in our time, parents were extremely supportive of the discipline of the school. The discipline in the sense that, well, I know that I could only tell the teachers all kind of things and to say that my parents will do this or that if they didn't know my parents.
Right.
Right? And most people, as I know so many of my colleagues will tell you, sir, when the teacher punished me at school, I can't go home and tell the parents that the teacher punished me.
No.
Because the parent not even going to investigate. They are going to assume that you have done something wrong.
Of course. Right.
And give you another punishment. When in truth, sometimes you have done anything wrong, but they never know that, right? So I still, I have a fairly high regard for the people out there. Now, a lot of them are struggling, doing their best. They're showing commitment, right? And they're they're rowing a hard row. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
They're rowing a hard row.
Yes. All right, Mr. Walsh, I want to thank you very much, and I want to just know that this platform is wide open for you, and we are going to continue talking.
Oh yes, I am prepared, because a lot of things to think about and to talk about. I say I am not at a point now where I will give up on Jamaica.
Yes.
But there are a lot of people who are, they maybe not giving up on Jamaica in terms of saying, articulating it verbally, but they're doing it by migrating.
Yes, of course. Of course. That's
You know?
it. That's it. And one of the things that is growing in Jamaica is that people are running away. And there's a new, for example, there's a new Jamaicans, more Jamaicans now are going to the United States, but they are going to either Panama or Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yes, so that is part of what we have to deal with. I want to thank you very much.
I think we need to tackle in a holistic way. That's for another discussion.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Richards.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walsh.
You're welcome, sir. Yeah, man.
Yes,
And you're plenty of time you need.
Yes. That was retired principal of the Brownstown Community College, Mr. James Walsh. You know. And coming up, we'll be going over to Guyana to talk with the Guyanese opposition leader. Stay tuned. We're going to take a break. You have Mr. I know you have the Guyanese opposition photo. We have spoken to him many times.
All to Jesus, I surrender. Make me Savior. Let me feel thy Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Truly know.
But me didn't tell you so we don't talk to the Guyanese opposition yet. I'm send that to you too.
I surrender.
But one of the reasons why me never...
To Him I freely give. I will ever love and trust Him in His presence daily. I surrender all. I surrender all. Jesus, take me now. I surrender all. I surrender all. All to Thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all. Jesus, I surrender. Make me Savior, Holy Christ. Let me feel Thy Holy Spirit. Truly know that Thou art mine. I surrender all.
wanted to share what you know about a crime but were too afraid? At Crime Stop, we make it easy for you to report on crimes safely and 100% anonymously. All it takes is 4 simple steps. First, contact the tip line at 311 or visit www.crimestop.org or www.311tips.com. Then share what you know anonymously with one of our trained counselors. Any information related to criminal activity is accepted. We don't want to know your identity. We don't record calls or use star 69, and there is no way of tracing tips over the phone or online. You'll also be given a file number for your tip. Next, track the progress of your tip by calling our tip line at 311 and quoting your file number. Finally, if your tip leads to success, you will be eligible for a cash reward. Rewards will be paid out upon request through a trusted disbursement agency with verification process to ensure that your identity remains hidden. Share what you know anonymously. Contact Crime Stop.
All things are possible if you only believe. Sitting at home, all alone, wondering what tomorrow may bring. He of little faith, dig deeper within. Healing the sick, he raised the dead, he walked on the sea. He worked miracles if you only believe. Only believe, only believe. All things are possible if you only believe. Only believe, only believe. All things are possible if you only believe. Lord, show me the way to do your will, and I will obey. I wanna be your servant. On my knees I pray. Lord, give me strength to carry on. Please lead the way, because I believe. I believe, oh, I believe that all things are possible if you only believe, only believe, only believe. All things are possible if you only sitting at home, all alone, wondering what tomorrow may bring. He of little faith, dig deeper within. Healing the sick, he raised the dead, he walked on the sea. He worked miracles if you only believe.
Yes, Mr. Morrison.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. We are talking to the UK's President, Mr. Vincent Morrison, and we actually wanted to get just have an update on the industrial action by the workers at UC Russell. What is happening, Mr. Morrison?
As you mentioned, so they have taken industrial action.
Yes.
And we have been here with them all day, monitoring the situation.
But I thought I saw this morning where the industrial relations had issued a back to work order. Well,
industrial strike, we are referring to.
Yes.
Yes. But the workers have made a point that they have been to this IDT 3 times in a row. And the tribunal has failed to respond to the issues. And therefore, they have taken a new position that the company and the management the management and the union should sit down to have the matter sorted out. That is the position taken by the workers.
Okay.
It is supported by the union.
Yes. So I would imagine that you're about to initiate meetings with the management tomorrow.
Yes, we have. We have not heard from them. We send them an email informing them that we are available to meet with them today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yes.
Sunday.
Okay.
At their time and their convenience.
Okay. But they have not responded as yet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. And the main grievance is the wage offer and that work, and I understand there are the working condition issues that the workers want to be addressed.
Yes. The workers are upset that the management been running the company for the past 13 years. And every time it comes around for them to get a wage adjustment, it becomes a problem.
Uh-huh.
They have no pension scheme. They are not paid overtime. They are not paid for public holidays. They have a fixed term contract which says they have waived their rights to notice on redundancy payments.
Uh-huh.
And there are a number of other issues, as I said, overtime payments. Workers are very concerned that working for this Russian conglomerate company, that their terms and conditions have been reduced considerably. These are workers coming from the Alcan days.
Yes.
And those benefits that they had were diluted by the company in 2010. And since that time, they have been trying to get the company to restore some of these benefits. And in spite of promises made by the company, they are not getting anywhere.
Okay.
So, as I said, they have been to the tribunal 3 times in a row. They have not been able to resolve the issue of the tribunal. Because the tribunal has taken the position that they cannot resolve the issues, the fixed term contract issues. So it makes no sense going back to the tribunal.
Okay. We have lost Mr. Morrison.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Oh, okay.
I'm hearing you.
Yes. So as it stands now, that we can say that the workers at AC Rusal are on strike, and the union is standing by. The union has indicated to the management that they are willing to meet anytime to work out a solution, a back to work solution. So far, the management has not responded as yet, but you are standing by for a meeting.
It's more than a back to work solution.
Yes.
The workers are saying they want a meeting with the management to jumpstart the negotiations.
Yes.
Because management has not responded. In fact, management has responded to only one of the 24-point claim.
Only one.
Only one.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is a 6% increase in year one and a 6% in year two. And the workers are saying that in terms of wages, they cannot settle for anything less than the inflation rate.
Okay. All right. So let us hope that by tomorrow, meetings will be held to really settle these issues, because bauxite is a very important product. It is one that has contributed significantly to our economic situation, and we are now in a problem of our economy is not in any good shape at all, because we have just the economy has just recovered from the COVID situation, and we know that this year our economic growth is going to be somewhere in the 1%, and we can't afford any strike right now. I want to thank you very much, Mr. Vincent.
Why are we giving away bauxite to the Russians? Why are we allowing the Russians to mine the bauxite?
Yes.
Set their own production targets for aluminum and hydrates at prices that they themselves, the same person who set the targets for production, the same person who set the price for the aluminum. Where did we allow the Russians to be selling the bauxite to themselves? Huh?
Yeah, okay.
At a price which is not at arm's length.
Yes.
Why are we allowing that?
Well, the government.
Why did we give them a $64 million tax waiver? 64 million US tax waiver. Is it fair for a country like Jamaica to be giving Russia, company out of Russia, a $64 million US tax waiver?
But I don't know how we are doing that. That is something that the government must address. That is,
sir.
yeah. That is something. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to thank you very much, and we will continue this discussion.
No problem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morrison. Yes. That was Mr. Vincent Morrison from UK's. Just bringing us up to date on what is happening with the bauxite workers. They are on strike. So let us see how this matter is going to be resolved. I think we want to talk to Mr. Norton. Mr. Norton, are you there? Okay, don't go away. We are going to talk to you now. And we are talking to the Guyanese opposition leader, Mr. Aubrey Norton. I don't know why let me try and get him back online. Yes. lost him a while ago. Yes. Yes, as we were saying, that bauxite situation is one that is unstable right now, and we need to have that matter addressed. And I'm trying to get the opposition leader in Guyana, but I don't know why I'm not getting through to him at all. Yes. Okay. It appears as if we are not going to get through to him. So let us put that off. Yes, so one of the issues, we had this discussion with the trade union leaders not too long ago. And we're talking about the state of the industrial relations front in the country right now. It is unstable. A lot of workers are upset, are complaining about their wages. They are not satisfied. Apparently there has been some changes in the payments. In other words, what they were told that they were getting when they received their paychecks, that's not what they got. And we also have a situation where the government has unilaterally removed the payment of increments to the public sector workers. This has been something that has been paid to the public sector workers for decades now, and it was not part of the wage agreement at all. So there is a lot of unrest there. Well, let us see what is going to happen. I want to thank our guests. I want to thank all our listeners and viewers, and want also to thank our technical operator, Reverend Bishop Gordon, for doing the technical work for us. Well, until Wednesday, you stay safe and stay tuned to Rebel Radio. I'm Desmond Richards. Good evening.